Hi everyone, here's the Chemist once again, and today, for the first time on this channel, I think, I'm going to talk about a non-fiction book, actually an academic book, which is Why We Read Fiction by Zunshine. Because it's a nice read and it's pretty fast, it's a good introduction to cognitive literary studies, and most importantly is almost free. You find it for $2 on Amazon, I think. That's the main reason why I'm filming this video, really. Zunshine is a literary scholar slash theory of mind expert slash neuroscience girl stuff. She belongs to this line of thought in literary theory called cognitive literary theory, more or less. What is cognitive literary theory? Cognitive literary theory tries to understand the ways in which our brain works when we read fiction, more or less. According to cognitive studies, to neuroscience or whatever, all human beings are hardwired in a way. Their brains all work pretty much in the same way. So when we read fiction, we can get subjective reactions, we can get different interpretations of works of fiction, but there are some biological things that we all share as human beings when we approach a work of fiction, like a novel. Now, if you belong to like the classic school of literary theory, this is gonna make you cringe like a lot, and it still makes me cringe a lot, but like, don't jump on your seats. I mean, the idea that we all read in the same way because we're human beings sucks, because one of the things that the humanities is there to teach people is that everyone is different, and that's not bad. But at the same time, like cognitive scientists like Zunshine do the research in like together with standard literary theory. They like do experiments that allow people to understand the way we relate with works of fiction. It's a huge field that can be very useful in many different ways. And in Why We Read Fiction, Zunshine explains one of these ways. In her book, Zunshine claims that, well, she bases her research on a neuroscientific study that shows, and this is pretty much a fact, that when we interact with people, when we read other people's mind, in the sense that we interpret their behavior, we read behind their gestures and their physical look in order to try and understand what they mean, what they want from us, for instance. We do the same thing basically when we read a book. When we read a piece of fiction, we see the different characters, the way they behave, and we try and understand what are their aims, what are their feelings, based on the few textual facts that the book gives us. Now, since we relate in the same way with people, in this sense, and with characters, we actually get pleasure from books, from reading books, because we can exercise our mental skills, our mind-reading abilities in a safe context, that of reading a book all by yourself, which basically reassures you that your work is doing fine, that you are able to understand other people's aims. And that's the basic of the thing of why we read fiction. She goes on to claim that basically some people like different genres because they like to exercise their theory of mind in different ways. So some people like detective novels because they involve a specific kind of mind reading. You need to understand whether people are lying or not, they're hiding something or not. Whereas other people like, for instance, difficult fiction because there, for it, she makes the example of Virginia Woolf's Mrs. Dalloway. There you have to hint to understand people's intentions behind many layers of textuality, behind very intricate sentences or syntax structures. Some people like the challenge, many people don't. Another claim she makes is that people, everybody, casual readers hate descriptions, especially in like classical works of literature, because descriptions are boring, because there are no human beings in them. So you can't exercise your mind-reading skills and you don't get pleasure. Now, why am I kind of suggesting this book? Because I think it's a very interesting book. Again, it's very short. It's a very good introduction into this area of literary theory. If you are a serious reader, if you are a scholar of literature, you should definitely like know a bit about this stuff. If you're a serious reader, you might be interested in it. Of course, the title "Why We Read Fiction" is very like fascinating and stimulating, and in general, because I think, yeah, it's a good introduction to this field and to the way literature and science can collaborate. Now, Zunshine is a bit too extreme, I think, in her claims. I don't think this explanation she gives for why we read fiction is exhaustive. I really don't think about it. I mean, if there are, I find many different exceptions where when there is fiction which is extremely enjoyable without featuring any need or any occasion for the reader to interpret and understand the behavior of characters. But at the same time, you don't need to take this theory as the truth about fiction, about literature. You can like read it, try and understand what you can, and try and see if it works with you. That's it. Why We Read Fiction is very cheap on Amazon. It's $2 on Amazon. The ebook version, the physical book, is very expensive, I think. I only managed to read it because it was in my university's library. But really, even if you don't especially like to read ebooks, this one is rather short, so it won't like be too much of a pain, I think. If by any chance you have read this book, if you know Zunshine's research and her other books, let me know what you think of her. Is she crazy? Is she a good scholar? Do you think her work is complete BS? Do you think there's some basis to it? Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.